kicked out of school and we opened this centre, this lady walks into the centre. I think we were crying within 5 minutes and laughing 5 minutes later, because both our sons have, what shall we say, they are unique.
They have a bouquet of an array of disabilities.
Yeah, I like the word bouquet. It's like they are amazing. They're like Superman. They're just different. They're just amazing. We're the disabled people. As a society, we've really disabled ourselves in many ways. But Rima came into my life when I was really crushed, and she wasn't accepting that. She's like, no, your son is amazing. And I'm like, oh, I can't, I don't know what to... She's like, no, your son is perfect. And I said, what's she talking about? He's autistic, he can't do this. She's like, no, he can do a lot of other things. So she started to fill my cup, and she became my mentor. Whether she liked it or not, that's another story. But it really inspired me. So from her few words of inspiration, my centre grew, and we did autism awareness, we brought parents in, we did days, we did silly things, because I, as a human, I like the journey. I know there's a finish line somewhere, but I've decided to live to 200 anyway, so it's a long way away. But I want the journey to be good. So that's the other point I really want to drive home to people, is let us empower and enable all the families. That includes the siblings. We're going to work on the siblings. That has to be another topic. Wouldn't you agree, Rima, that siblings really do need a lot of love and attention as well? But we really want to enjoy the journey we're on and empower the parents to see how fulfilling it is to have these children in our lives. And as a society, I'm still trying to convince people that these children are teaching us how to be proper human beings, rather than going on TikTok and whatever's coming next, you know? So, yeah, maybe we're on a one-way ticket, but we've got so many stops on the way that we really need to stop and enjoy. And there are so many different activities we can do. There are so many ways to inspire. And it does start with a simple acknowledgement that life is good. And I've had many parents come into the centre, and I'm still in contact with some of them. Moved to Canada. Remember, you helped Jeevan and his twin brother. You know, there's so many people that they've come through our lives, and we just put them on the right track, and they're carrying on, and they're still in contact with me. A few of them, their kids have like finished university. So life does go on. There is a life after all the trauma that you get because you have a child with a disability, but it does take the society. And I keep repeating certain things because I want you to leave here today with these thoughts in your head. You know, they're human, I'm human. They have emotions, I have emotions. They have a disability, well, I'm left-handed, and some people think that's a disability. You know, it's, again, your perception. So we want to lose all these are the perceptions that society might have, we've developed as a society over thousands of years. I mean, a couple of 100 years ago, women couldn't vote, they couldn't ride horses, loads of things they couldn't do. And now it's, what women can't do, I don't know actually, legislation-wise, there's nothing. So, yes, we have made improvements, but we really do need to expand our mind. Yes, there is a lot of legislation to support and include, but we do need to keep it down to this human level. Eye contact, talking to people, being non-judgmental, having a gentle smile, even if people are coming at you with a frown. I don't like what you're saying, I don't like the way you look, but you just have to stand your ground. And this is a nice concept with Toastmasters, because we do need to have a little bit of confidence when we're talking. But you have to have some humility as well. You have to understand that people might not be ready to hear what you've got to say. I mean, it must be the same if you're doing a diagnosis with somebody. You know, you kind of have to dress it. You know, sometimes the news is not always good, but things do improve. Whether you believe it or not, the reality of the situation is life will get better if you perceive it positively. So the power of positive thought is something that we try to use all the time when we're with our kids, because we're traumatized. If we are constantly traumatized, we're going to transfer that trauma. And I'm sure there's medical evidence even when you're pregnant, because now when I'm thinking back, I don't remember I traumatized my kids when I was pregnant because of what I was going through. So we don't want to add to the trauma. So helping families just by not doing an act of kindness, it's just when you're walking along the street, just a simple smile. Or maybe like, okay, he's having a meltdown. Do you need any help, ma'am? If not, just carry on, because she might not want your help. She might know exactly what she needs to do, or he might be dad looking after them. And what would you advise if you're in a restaurant? Because my son and restaurants, my son eats a little bit like Shrek, so you know, thank God for that. But see how I make it into something funny, because there's a lot worse that can happen. But in a restaurant, I'm just trying to reiterate how we can educate restaurant staff. I don't know what it's like in Canada.
Well, it's Canada or here, it doesn't matter. I mean, what I would do is always, I'll give, when I enter a restaurant with my son, who's 33, 200 pounds, 6 foot, so he's massive, non-verbal. I give the restaurant a heads up. I say, he doesn't like to wait. Please seat us somewhere where there isn't a lot of crowd. Like, so sensory, you need to make sure that the sensory input is not too much for him. So please don't sit us next to the kitchen, for instance, because, you know, banging pots and pans are not going to work for us. And not next to a speaker, because if they have loud music or whatever, we don't want to be close to the speaker. And not to a draft next to the drafty door or window, because I mean in Canada, when they open the door and it's minus 16 outside, you don't want to feel that draft coming in and out. That's it. Other than that, you know, if he flaps his hands and he makes a noise, it's part and parcel of having him as a guest at your restaurant, so enjoy the party.
Exactly.
Enjoy the show.
Exactly.
You know?
But do you see what she did there? She communicated very calmly to the staff, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, because she's a very experienced mom.
And I don't apologize. I never apologize for him.
Yeah?
He has just as much of a right of being in that restaurant as everybody else. I do not apologize. I don't make him sound less. He's never less. If somebody else doesn't like him being there, well, guess what? Be my guest. Leave.
And that does sound a little bit hardcore, doesn't it? But it's actually, that's the raw truth of the matter. People have been spoiled into having all these things brushed under the carpet, where that was wrong, and we're making up for that now. But the fact of the matter is, if somebody's not happy where they are free to go. But I can't remember, I think, was it 2008 when they signed the CRPD? I mean, Bahrain...
In 2007, we signed the CRPD of the United Nations, the Rights of People with Disability. The charter, I was there. I was part of the people that signed that charter right on the UN floor. And it was July of 2007. We signed the charter. Bahrain did ratify it in 2010. So did a lot of other countries. That does not mean that we've done anything to honor. We did say that within 10 years we will put a law in place. Bahrain still does not have a law to have the rights of people with disability in the workplace, or in housing, or in the streets, or accessibility, or anything.
Or even managing their finances and their hereditary. She's a lawyer, so I'm just pushing that home. I want to tell a little story about Rima. because this lady was at Alia studying ABA, and I went, oh yeah, we opened it, and this is how hilarious it is. The universe just brings us right back here, full circle. We were in that Rani's granddad's house, I think it was.
Yes.
There was no furniture and there was a telephone on the floor, and I think Rania dials a number and somebody answers, and she's like to Rima, you answer, and we're looking at each other. There was no, it wasn't like a video cam, it was just audio. So we were like kids, but it was so exciting at that time. But Rima was the one that knew the ABA firm, that contacted them.
They trained me.
Yeah. And
I got certified by them.
Yeah. So we were like kids, but we knew what we needed to do. But she was the most experienced at talking, at dealing with, and she trained. She's an architect, by the way, retrained because of her son. So it's by no accident that she came into this field. And that's how Alia was born. We just all got together as mums.
We were 6 mothers.
6 crazy mums who we had a vision, and we had so many doors closed in our face, and people just, they're not going to learn, they're not going to understand, it's not going to make sense, it's not going to work, all of the negative things. And what I love about Rima, she has the most amazing disapproving look. I think that's from teaching. But she was just like, no, you can't say that. Because she's lived so long in Canada, there's zero tolerance, and there's human rights for everybody, we're all equal. And in fact, children under the age of 18, their rights supersede those of adults. So she knew what she was talking about, and we were like, yeah, whatever she said. You know, we were really naive, but our hearts were in the right place. So it's okay to be autistic, it's also okay to be wrong, because we're learning. So sometimes when we get it wrong, it's like, oh, I'm really sorry, I messed up on that. You know, this is, you know, in this culture, people don't like to make mistakes, but we have to be a little bit accountable, people. You know, it's not just my husband didn't wash the dishes last night or whatever. It's like the real serious stuff. You do have to be accountable, and when you acknowledge to parents, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but do you mind if I just ask you, if you come from a very humble space in your heart, then the doors will open for you. I mean, how many parents? The parents. They were both really, not that I disrespect smoking, but I remember you were like high on nicotine, I think, by the time you'd finished the meeting. And she said, I felt like I was doing marriage counselling. It was actually for their son, but she put up with it because they needed a platform. They needed to release all of the emotions that had built up over years of people not listening to them. They were both hurt. They were both crushed because of society. Your son is not normal, we can't help you, Yola, go away. That's what they felt. Remember, a lovely husband, I think he was an engineer, chemical engineer or something. Lovely, lovely people. But they were crushed. How would you feel if nobody wants to listen to you? What happens when you feel that nobody is listening to you? What do you try to do? You'll start to talk louder and make sure everybody get their attention. Then people